YouTube, what's up? It's your boy Barber coming back at you with another haircut tutorial. In this video, I'm going to do a classic comb over. So I like to begin each cut by brushing or combing out my client's hair. Shout out to Still 2 Comb for this dope comb you see me using. And the reason why I choose to do this is I want the hair to lay in its natural direction. So now that I got the hair combed out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some water right here to gain a little more control over it. And once I apply enough water that I'm comfortable with the control that I do have, I'm going to look for his natural part. And this is going to be a classic comb over, so I want everything to flow together naturally. Now that I got everything laying naturally, I'm going to come in with my wall magic clip with my #1 color guard with the lever open. And I'm going to make my first initial guideline, but this is actually going to be my only guideline. And this is going to be the highest guard that I use on his head. And so what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go right up to right where his parietal ridge. You know what I'm saying. I'm going right there to the parietal ridge of his head. And I'm going to go ahead and knock everything underneath that out evenly with the one fully open. So now that I got everything knocked down evenly with the one fully open, I'm gonna do his neckline up. And right here I'm gonna just keep everything as natural as possible but sharp at the same time. And this is a basic simple cut, but things like the lineup, the way you style them out, that's what's gonna make something so simple like this pop. So take your time, keep everything natural, consistent, but sharp at the same time. Alright, so now we're going to jump to the shear portion of this video, and my wife's actually going to be the one doing the cutting. And I'm going to try my best to walk you through it. My wife did teach me how to use shears. She was my instructor while I went through school. So we cut the same, or at least with the same techniques, but we cut a little different. So right here what she's doing is she's pulling up the front section of his hair, and directly in the center she's making her first initial cut, which is going to be her guide for this whole cut. So once she makes her first initial cut, she'll make her way to the left side and then to the right side. And each time that she does that, she's taking over a little bit of that center section and she's using it as a guide and a reference point. So that's the guide that she's going to use throughout this whole haircut. So what you see her doing right now is pulling up a section of hair, making her initial cut, pulling up a section behind that, and bringing over a little bit of that front section that she cut initially as a guide and reference point into the new section. So then she'll pull up a new section, and from that section she just took a cut of, she'll bring that into the new section and again use that as a guide and a reference point. So now what she's doing right here is she's taking the side that the comb over directs to, and she's pulling the hair up in a 45-degree angle. And so what you're not able to see is, so like right here you could see the top of her fingers. Well, what you can't see is the bottom of her fingers, and the bottom of her fingers is going directly into that one with the lever open that I just set around his head. And so that's that 45-degree angle. The best way I could describe it is kind of like when you're doing clipper over comb. That angle that you give when you're connecting your blend into the top, that's exactly what she's doing with her fingers. Alright, so right here you're gonna notice that she switched out to her thinning shears. So what she's doing right here is she's thinning his hair. And this also adds a slight texture look to your client, but the main purpose of this is thinning out the hair. When your client says, man, my hair feels so thick, you know, I don't want it to feel like that, but I don't want you to cut a lot of length off. This is what you're gonna wanna do. You're gonna wanna pull up a section of hair. You're gonna take your thinning shears, you're gonna go directly in the center of that section, and you're gonna work your way from the middle back up towards the top, but you're not gonna fully open and close your shears. You're gonna make little baby cuts, if that makes sense. Alright, so my wife just switched back to her standard shears, and what she's doing right here is called point cutting. And the reason why she's doing some point cutting is because initially when you cut somebody's hair with shears, it gives a very blunt look. And what I mean by that is it literally looks like you just cut his hair directly straight across. And that's what I mean by bluntness. It's very sharp, it's very straight. And so she's trying to break that up. And when you break that up, you're able to do it with some point cutting. And so what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna pull up a section of hair. Once you have that section of hair up, like you see her have now, you're gonna go from one end to the other, and you're gonna be consistent as far as the amount that you're removing. You're not gonna wanna remove a lot. The goal isn't to remove weight or bulk or anything like that. The goal is to break up that bluntness. So remain consistent as far as how you cut it from one end to the other. Keep in mind that this does add texture to your client's hair, but the goal isn't to add a whole bunch of texture right now. It's just to break up that bluntness. So when you're doing this, the more you remove, the more of a textured look you're gonna give your client. So if you're not trying to achieve a whole lot of texture, but you wanna break it up, don't cut a lot, but remain consistent from one end to the other. So right here, you're gonna see that I do some clipper over comb. And what I'm doing is I'm gonna connect that one with the lever open into that weight that you see me combing down now. I do wanna keep some of that weight because this is gonna be a classic comb over. So I wanna give it that classic look. So I'm gonna come in with my comb and I'm gonna angle it at a 45-degree angle. And the reason why I chose this angle opposed to like a 90-degree angle or directly straight up is because I do want to keep like a shelf there. I want to keep some weight there. And so I'm going to come in with the 45-degree angle, and my primary focus right now is to knock some of that weight down and obtain the shape that I want. Once I do that with the clipper over comb, I'm going to continue to do clipper over comb, but you're going to notice that I bring my comb a little more downwards into the fade or into the blend. And so what I'm doing now is I'm coming still with the 45-degree angle, but I'm bringing my clipper down lower. And now my primary goal is to connect that one with the lever open into that shape that I just gave them, or that shelf that I just gave them. So I'm going from that one with the lever open right into the top where I have that weight. Alright, so now we're going to show this side of the head. The other side is pretty much done, where you just saw me do the clipper over comb. There's not a whole lot of hair there, and I already blended it out and I connected it. So we're pretty much done with that side. So we're gonna go ahead and tidy up this side. Right here, she's doing a little point cutting again. And again, she's just trying to break up that bluntness that she's seeing. And so after she breaks that bluntness up, you're gonna see her come in and do some shear over comb. I'm not the greatest at explaining this, but the way you're gonna wanna do this is basically like clipper over comb, but with your shears. So you're gonna wanna come in with your comb, and you're gonna come in and you're gonna come starting off at the area that you wanna connect to. And the reason why you're gonna do that is because you're gonna use that as like a guide or a reference point. So you're gonna come into the area you wanna connect to with the comb. You're gonna angle it at the angle that you choose to. You see the angle that she chose here was almost directly straight up, but angled a little bit towards her direction. And that's because she wants that hair to lay nicely into that bottom blend we're trying to connect it into. Almost like a layered look. So she's gonna come in with her comb, starting off in the area that she wants to connect to. She's gonna find her angle and she's gonna begin to work her way up. And anything that falls in that comb, like you see her doing now, she's attacking it with the shears and knocking it down. She's not trying to attack it heavy, she's trying to attack it enough to remove that weight to connect it. So sometimes a little is more, because you could always remove a little and remove a little more, but if you remove too much, that's it. So when you're doing this, just remain consistent throughout the cut with everything that you do. Alright, so right here you're gonna notice that she's wetting the hair, and the reason why we wet hair is just to gain a little more control over it. So you're gonna also notice that she switched back to her thinning shears, and right here she's gonna continue to do shear over comb, but now she's switching to her thinning shears. And what she's trying to demonstrate to you guys is a different technique. If you don't feel comfortable doing the shear over comb, because you can jack somebody up if you overcut, kind of like how I just explained to you in the previous clip. So if you come in with your thinning shears, they're more forgiving. They're less of a blunt look. So literally you could just come in and start bushwhacking. I'm not saying do that, because at some point it will start to give your client a really jagged textured look. But if you come in, you remain consistent, like I've constantly preached to you, and you just work at it little by little. You work at it a little, you recomb it, you work at it some more. You work at it, you recomb it, you work at it some more. And when you do that, you're able to see everything come together. If you could see right now the way she's coming in and she's just attacking it consistently. She's not overdoing it, she's doing it enough, and then she's recombing it, and if there's anything that she sees that hasn't got knocked down to where she wants, she'll go in a little bit more, and she'll keep doing that until eventually it connects the way she wants. So just be patient with the shears. They're a really awesome tool to use. They bring the cut together. Anybody can knock a blend out. It takes a real artist to use some shears. So get to know these shears. So now we're gonna go to the other side of the head, and we're gonna continue to do the same thing with the thinning shears over comb. And what she's doing is she's just breaking up that bluntness that my clipper over comb left. She's softening it. You know what I mean? She's taking that jaggedness of the long hair that's there, and she's softening it so it flows nicely into the density of that blend. Alright, so my client was really adamant about not getting a skin fade or his hair being cut too short. He was very determined about just getting the one with the lever open all the way up. But I did talk him into a really light taper in the back area. So you're seeing I'm taking my Andes T outliner, I'm setting my first initial guide. Once that guide's set, I'll clear out the stubble with the T outliner, and now I'm gonna come in with my wall magic clip. This time I'm gonna come in with my lever closed. Typically you see me set a guideline in with my lever open, but I'm not trying to set a guide here. This is a really low taper, so I'm gonna use the fade up process. I'm gonna come in with my lever closed, and then I'm gonna work my way up a little bit, keep everything consistent and blend it out, and then I'm gonna open my lever a little more and continue to do the same thing. And I'll continue to do those same exact steps until my lever's fully open, and then I'll move on to my guard. And again, I'm gonna use that fade up process. So I'm gonna come in with the lever closed and work my way up all the way through. Alright, so now that I got the neck taper out the way, I'm going to take my Andes T outliner and I'm going to square off his sideburns. This is the desired look for my client. I try to talk him into a light taper, but he wasn't having it, so I'm trying to respect him and his wishes and just deliver what he asked for, which is a basic but clean cut. And a lot of you might not think that, oh, this is a dope fresh cut, but I'm telling you right now, out of 10 people that walk in your barber shop, 6 or 7 of them are gonna ask for this same exact cut right here. So it's really important that you suck up some of that shear game that I just shared with you, and even the simpleness of running that one with the lever open and doing that clipper over comb to bring it together. So here is a look at the final cut, y'all. I didn't spin him around and display his cut all fancy, because again, I feel like the value in this tutorial was the shear work. So if you got anything useful out of that, I ask that you smash the like button. If you're new to my channel, I suggest you stick around. It's only gonna get doper from here. I appreciate y'all. Be blessed and be a blessing. I'm out.